Hello and welcome to, I believe this is going to be our ninth episode or 10th episode of Star Trek. Um, Game wise, we are on episode 5. Um, the Captain Nobunaga and his security officer, along with Ensign Locks, have just returned from Earth after an important security briefing that they received there. Um, and they have been in the process of updating the Dharma's security protocol. We now move the action to the bridge, where the captain and his security officer are discussing the events of the meeting and the next set of tasks they need to do in order to prepare for any sort of uh, infiltration by the changelings or possibly the Dominion war that looms on the horizon. Screen change and we move to the bridge. So, on the bridge, Captain Nobunaga, his security officer Rinnan Chan, First Officer Commander Singh, and Ensign Carter Law, who has just joined Dharma and is the flight and navigation officer. Also on the bridge is Science Officer Lyra.
So, Captain Nobunaga. Mr. Chon, please update me on the status of the installations of our anti-snooping device.
Yes, Captain. We've put them in some of the most heavily foot-trafficked areas. Particularly 10 Forward is one place that was quickly installed in, a transporter room, and other locations like that, though we are still working on making the ship 100% changeling-proof. But the major areas have been covered at this time, Captain.
What about the warp core and engineering? I don't want any sabotage.
The warp core has been, but there are some sections of engineering which have been slow to update, Captain, I will admit.
Keep me informed.
Yes, Captain.
And he says, Commander Singh, please take the con. Ensign Locke, Lieutenant Chon, Ensign Lyra, please follow me to engineering.
Aye, sir.
Affirmative, Captain. And Commander Singh kind of gets up and moves towards your seat as I'm just going to copy you guys over. Don't fall into the warp core.
That was a bad warp. Bad teleport.
So you guys are now on the engineering.
Yep, the elevator opens and Nobunaga steps out and kind of walks towards where Boss Hog would be and just kind of walks in looking for him.
Hog will be going through his routine, and as soon as he acknowledges the captain's presence, he does a typical Talarian defensiveness, and he's just like, "Captain, what seems to be the trouble?"
No trouble, Ensign. I'm just here to inspect the installation of our anti-changeling phasers. He looks at where one was installed and kind of looks at it for a moment and then looks back to you. Is everything going well from your point of view, Lieutenant? And he's looking at Boss Hog.
Lieutenant?
Yeah.
As you kind of are, I'm just taking your out-of-character comment as a, kind of a in-character confusion.
Yeah, definitely. Lieutenant!
He kind of takes this box out and kind of flips it towards you.
gets all kinds of flustered and starts immediately double talking. Captain, what is going on?
Captain Nobunaga smiles and he's like, Lieutenant Hogg, yes, you heard me correctly. Your pips are in there. And he nods to the box. I considered creating a scenario for you, but quite simply, I would have been like a child creating a scenario for a professor. I don't have the engineering chops to compete with you, Lieutenant.
He looks kind of embarrassed and flustered, but then he quickly lets a sense of pride fall upon him, and he snaps to proper attention as much as he can and says, I am greatly honored, Captain. I accept these most generously.
And he nods and he says, Lieutenant, you've done excellent work while here on the Dharma, and especially in your away missions. I couldn't think of no other person I would rather have in my engineering station. And he goes and extends a hand to shake it.
Yeah, Hogg will definitely, after looking around to see if any of the fellow colleagues are looking at him, he'll immediately reach out, real, like I said, nervous, because you really totally caught him off guard with this. He'll shake the hand and nod as he's doing it. Says, it's truly an honor. I hope to do these trips well.
He nods and says, well, I suppose we should get ready for this potential war we might see. I'll need your ingenuity yet, I'm sure of it.
I'll win whatever aid I can, though I'm not entirely versed in the arts of war.
Well, Lieutenant, you might have a trial by fire very soon if my gut feeling is correct, and typically my intuition is always correct.
He looks kind of distraught, but he immediately comforts himself by patting the console in front of him. He's like, let's hope the flames don't get too hot.
And he nods. And, yes, we will do what we can. Fight with honor. Fight with bravery. Give no quarter. And win when the time comes.
Still perplexed, he just simply nods one final time. Yes, Captain, as you wish.
And he looks to the other ensigns and lieutenant. Bridge crew, feel free to congratulate the new lieutenant here for a few moments, then rejoin me on the bridge. Unfortunately, we don't have time for 10 forward right now. A delayed party where we can eat worms or whatever Ensign Haas would like, or Lieutenant Haas would like. Hog.
Captain.
And the captain would lead four together as he departs back to the bridge.
Yeah, the captain leaves the engineering.
Hey, Zypher, will you do me a favor? For all the new tokens you've done, they're not displaying a name for me. Could you go over into your advanced tab and click show to all players for their names?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm missing two of them right now as it is. There we go.
I see. There we go. I see. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
See those now.
And walk up and pat Hogg on the back. Well done, Lieutenant. Well deserved after that last mission away. Excellent work.
Yeah, almost as instantly as you come to approach him to do that, he immediately pushes you. And you know it's a playful jest, but at the same time, he's serious. He's just says, bastard man, why couldn't you have told me that the captain was coming down here? Here I'm just standing here with my hoof in my mouth.
No, the captain wanted it to be a surprise. Who am I to keep the captain from his fun? Besides, we all wanted to see how you'd react anyway.
He just kind of lets a brief smile out. He's like, I don't like surprises very much, but these pips sure do shine, don't they?
Indeed, and they're well-deserved, Lieutenant. Well-deserved.
Carter will walk up. Lieutenant, we haven't had a chance to meet yet. I'm Ensign Locks, and I'll salute him. Congratulations on your promotion, sir.
Thank you, Locks. You're the new pilot, I do believe. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you.
Aye, sir. Well deserved, I imagine. Well deserved.
Just remember what Starfleet's taught you and apply those lessons in day-to-day life, and you'll go far.
Thank you, sir. And with that, he'll exit towards the bridge.
Okay. So you guys, I'll congratulate Lieutenant Boss Hogg and return to your duties. And the next few weeks are busy preparing the ship, and also you're patrolling the area between Federation space, Klingon space, and Romulan space, to give you an idea of exactly where your ship right now is. Taking you back to the starship map. You guys are between Starbase 234 and the Epsilon Outposts. You can zoom the map if you want to get a closer look.
So I technically no longer have untapped potential anymore.
No, you don't.
Mercifully.
Does it get replaced with anything? Or?
I believe you now will have the veteran. I think that's what even Renun took. Let me just refreshing Roll20. It's glitching on me.
It's on there. I'll read it while you go ahead, do your thing. I'll read what it says.
Yeah. So you guys, after that, that scene of congratulating, you guys went back to your tasks and have been at it for the past few weeks. If you zoom your screen on which you are right now, it's a quadrant map of the beta quadrant, and the Dharma is currently along the Epsilon Outposts and Starbase 234. You have been patrolling this area. It's a space between the Federation controlled space, Klingon, and Romulan. And your task is to just ensure that Federation security is maintained and no surprises takes place in this sector. And that is when you receive your next orders from Starfleet Command, and I shall now read the captain's log. Show the players. Stardate 41810.2. We have just received orders to head to the Epsilon Outpost. This mission is delicate enough to be classified as top secret. Command eyes only. What I can say is... Did we lose someone? Oh.
Look like ghosts.
Ghost, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. So, just kind of recapping. So you guys have been in that area for the past few weeks, and that's when you receive your new orders. And I'm reading the captain's log for everybody's benefit. Show to players. Stardate 41810.2. We have just received orders to head to the Epsilon Outposts. This mission is delicate enough to be classified as top secret. Command eyes only. What I can say is we are to meet with weapons specialist Zevek. He's the lead scientist we'll be working with. Our orders are to help supervise the field test of a new, improved quantum torpedo that Zevek and his team are currently developing. Starfleet intelligence has concerns that with the Romulan border less than 20 light years from Epsilon Outposts, they may know about and intend to steal the device. To make matters worse, the Klingons have declared war against Cardassia under the pretext that Cardassia has been infiltrated by the Dominion. The crew is expected to be on alert and to provide whatever security measures are needed to ensure no one gains access to the potential weapon. It can't be stressed enough that the Federation doesn't want anyone to have access to something that could conceivably affect the balance of power in the quadrant. As you guys have received your new orders, you would have also picked up Weapons Specialist Zevek from Starbase 234 and are en route to the Epsilon Outposts, where you guys plan to do a weapons test of the new quantum torpedo. Weapons Specialist Zevek will be like, Captain, all the parameters for the new torpedo have been entered into the ship's computer. I am currently computing and simulating the weapons blast radius.
Very well, Mr. Zevek. Please keep my security officer, Lieutenant Chon, informed.
Will do, Captain. And then Weapons Specialist Zevek turns to Rin and he says, Lieutenant, the plan is to detonate the quantum torpedo on a derelict freighter out in the Epsilon Outposts. The detonation will be remote. I will need a team that can assist me in placing the torpedo on the derelict freighter, arming it, and then returning back to the Dharma.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Ghost? Uh-oh. Okay, we can just wait maybe 5 minutes waiting for Ghost. He's been having some internet issues.
Ghost.
No.
God does
Ghost,
not
if
want
you're-
Star Trek to run.
Yes, folks watching, it has been a challenge this past week. Folks have been losing internet connections and personal stuff have come up over the past week, and we've not.
I'm back.
Okay, cool. Okay, so taking the action a few steps back. So Weapons Specialist Zavek, he just addressed the captain, and he said he has just inputted the parameters for the weapons test into the ship's computers, and it's calculating the blast radius. The idea behind that is to determine how far the Dharma should be so that it can observe and collect data of the blast and the weapon, but in turn not being affected by it. He then turns to you, Lieutenant John, and he says, Lieutenant, the task I have at hand is to place a quantum torpedo. Oh, God.
Man, that's the important stuff that's going every time. Hey, Ghost, this is for you. Oh, you're gone now. I think he's doing it on purpose at this point.
I'm going, and then like Ian's going off like, I like farts. I'm like, Ian, I'm still recording, dude.
Yeah, but see, everybody gold though. I mean, we can't blame that now.
Ian, for a moment, he was not sure if he was being punked or if I was like really like, messing with him, and he's like,
I know, it was like,
See, you guys should save the outtakes and then also make a giant
Yeah.
humor reel, like humor reel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just outtakes from all the different games.
oh man, that was really good.
you'll have a EPUB reader,
EPUB. Go
EPUB
solo.
reader.
Oh my god.
So did you get the hamster running again?
I had to fucking bust out the old network adapter fucking broken, but we'll see how this one goes. That was the problem.
Okay.
It fucking bent in, so the little part you attached to the computer USB was bent inwards and would not fucking connect. So here I am, in all my glory. I'll resume my fucking recording that is gonna have missed 20 minutes, but there we go.
That's okay. The 20 minutes that you missed is us just talking about farts. So.
That's good.
Is that what you wanted, Ian? A simple EPUB reader for Chrome? There you go.
Yeah, download that book and read it, that Druss Legend.
Okay. Cool.
David Gamel, I like it.
He makes epic fantasy books so easy to read.
Cool. Let's try this one more time.
All right, I'm gonna put on 13 minutes that I definitely need to cut here. If I can find my.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Welcome back, everyone. There were some few technical difficulties, so the recording seems a little off. Please bear with us. So to recap, Weapons Specialist Zavek is from Starfleet Research and Development Division. He's been assigned to Dharma for a short duration to test a new and improved quantum torpedo that Starfleet is developing as a response to the Dominion threat on the horizon. Weapons Specialist Zavek is on the Dharma to test this weapon and collect data. He has just informed the captain that he has entered his weapon parameters, simulation parameters into the ship's computer and is waiting for results. The results which will state how far the Dharma should be from the actual detonation so as to be able to collect data accurately and not be affected by the detonation. At that point, once the captain has given his go-ahead, Weapons Specialist Zavek turns to Lieutenant Sean and he says, Lieutenant John, the task that I have at hand is I need a crew to assist me with the installation of the quantum torpedo. We have a derelict freighter out in space. I will need someone to pilot a runabout with me and some additional personnel on it. Maybe your engineer can assist me as well. We need to place the quantum torpedo on the freighter, arm it, and then return back to the Dharma. And then at which point we shall detonate it and collect data. Any questions?
No, not at all, sir. Just some recommendations on who to pilot the runabout and bring along.
Excellent. I am open to recommendations.
I believe Ensign Law would be an excellent choice. The runabout. I would like to go with you just for security reasons as well. Make sure you never know what could happen out here. And Ensign Hogg, Lieutenant Hogg would also be an excellent choice to bring up from engineering. He's our best. Science Officer Lear may be able to assist as well with the data gathering. Not that I doubt your abilities, sir. Just every hand helps.
Perfect. Yes. Always double check our results to ensure that everything is accurate. I like that plan, Lieutenant. Please set it in motion. I shall meet you in the cargo bay and we shall load the weapon on the runabout.
Understood. I will get it done. And so, of course, I would talk with the captain about the personnel and things like that weapon specialist. And then bring him out.
You guys move. You guys load the weapon onto the runabout, and Weapon Specialist Zavek also gets on the runabout with you guys. As the five of you start exiting the the Dharma and moving towards the derelict freighter out in space. You guys are now on a new map. Let me know if you see yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Hogg's token needs a name. FYI.
Okay, Hogg's book. Name. Go. See, everybody else is good?
Yep.
Awesome. And at this point, you guys are out in space, and Ensign Law, I need you to make, as you start piloting the runabout towards derelict freighter that is over here, over there. We will need to this will be your first task in the game. So, in your case, this is going. If you click on your token, you will see that you have different macros. The one that you will need is a task con plus control. The difficulty is 1.
Ethical focus.
Focus, yes, you have small craft. A runabout is a small craft. Ooh, right off the bat.
2 momentum, baby.
Yes. So the task difficulty was 1. You generated 2 success. So you have now 1 in the momentum pool.
That's 3 successes, isn't it? Because it's...
No. That's just 2 successes.
Okay.
Did he only roll 1 die?
Did he? Oh.
No, that's 1 die.
Let me check.
No, he rolled 2. 4 and a 11. Oh, no, wait, hold on.
Yeah, he only rolled 1.
Yeah, so roll again with one, but this time just select 1 die.
That's right. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to do it when the first time. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Almost
two
all
die.
2 pluses.
Yeah. Unless there's a strange circumstance, like assisting a roll is 1 die,
Yeah.
Yes.
but 2 die for everything else. This roll, do a 1 die. Oh, there it is.
Boom. So you have now 2 in the momentum pool. Perfect. So Ensign Law, as you pull the runabout out of the Dharma and you start navigating and flying towards the the derelict freighter, how does that look roleplay wise? What's happening?
Well, and as I'm cruising up to it, it's kind of hitting the buttons. And as I'm hitting the buttons, kind of cruising up to it, moving the throttle up and everything. And, I'm not expecting much, so I'm just kind of happy to be on a ship again and piloting again,
Mm-hmm. Nice. So you bring the Vedas, that's the name of the runabout, around, and you find that there's a docking port on the derelict ship. You are able to successfully bring the runabout about and dock with the ship. As the rest of you start disembarking and moving the quantum torpedo into the ship. And you guys are now in the cargo hold. Ensign Law, are you going to stay at the controls of the runabout, or are you going to proceed in with Lyra, Rinan, and Boss Hog?
I'm gonna follow orders.
Okay.
I mean, if they want me to stay, I stay. If not, then I'll go. I'm assuming Lieutenant Chan's in charge, right?
Yes.
Lieutenant, would you want me to stay at the roundabout, or would you want any company?
We're not expecting trouble necessarily with this, are we?
Tensions are high, given that you are right now like at a kind of a crux between you're at like a focal point where it's between the Romulan space, Klingon space, and Federation space. The location where you are is not near any habitable planets or any any like life or anything. So it's like a nice space where you can do weapon testing, but the downside is it's kind of like that no man's land.
We made all hands on deck for this one, Ensign Law. Make sure you lock the ship up and have it programmed to a voice code that only recognizes us.
All right, Lieutenant, we'll do.
Okay, so you guys do that and then proceed into the the cargo hold of the derelict ship, And weapons specialist Zevek says, "That was excellent flying, Ensign Law." And then you guys are bringing the this is the quantum torpedo right there. You guys carry the quantum torpedo in. To give you guys some more context, in Trek there are things called basically they're like anti-grav like they're like implements that create the anti-grav field around anything that you want to carry, and basically provide you with two handholds, so that something like a quantum torpedo, two people can carry it. Even though it's heavy, you guys don't feel the weight, and you can bring it into the cargo hold. At this point, weapons specialist Zevek starts proceeding to arm the quantum torpedo. He turns to Lieutenant Hogg. Lieutenant Hogg, can you please confirm my readings? And he starts reading out a whole bunch of quantum data to you, boss. Go ahead and make a reason plus engineering roll. Ian, you there?
Oh, well.
Oh my god.
Man, this has been a rough one.
Oh, okay.
Did he say anything?
He just posted a message. I think he's still online.
Ian, you there?
Are you muted, Ian?
Push to talk.
Shift key.
Control Delete.
Throw it out the window.
I'll pause it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Man, this is getting hard.
Hmm.
I feel I'm doing a shit job of explaining everything.
No, you're fine. We just can't fucking survive the internet connections. It's like the fucking Hunger Games.
Am I here? Am I
No.
here? Please let me stay.
Yes, you're here.
Okay, you're here.
Right over Zoom now.
It was hitting me earlier with my audio and voice. It was hitting.
All right. Do I have an applicable focus?
Not for this one, because this is the first time you're reading like quantum data that is being streamed to your tricorder.
And difficulty level?
Difficulty level 1.
Okay.
Nice. I don't have a thing over here. Let me just increase. So Ian, you see on your tricorder, momentum at 3, you see on your tricorder that there is quantum data streaming from the quantum torpedo, and from your understanding of basic quantum mechanics, everything looks fine.
Okay. We basically be listening for input to sync up, and then they go, inertial dampers appear to be within optimal parameters. What is this here? Okay. Yeah, everything seems to be in order. And he'll actually try to ask a couple questions to learn a little bit in the little brief time he has with him.
Oh, sure. So when you ask him questions, what kind of questions are you asking? Like, what is the exact like the weapon made of, or any information like that?
Basically how stable of an explosive device this is for the most part. Because photon torpedoes were pretty much a fucking bag full of cats, if I remember right, when they stumbled upon how they worked.
Yes. So weapon specialist Zarek says, indeed, Lieutenant Hogg, your questions are are indeed important to understand, for it is one day I'm hoping that you and your crew will be using this to keep Federation space safe. The way the weapon is set up, it uses what we call energy extraction from zero-point vacuum. You see, when you have rapid energy extraction from zero-point vacuum, and you create the zero-point vacuum from 11-dimension space-time membrane, we end up extracting large amounts of energy in a very small amount of time, and that's where the bang comes from. You see, it is indeed unique. You might know about the quantum singularity. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, it's been some time, but yes, I'm familiar with the concept of it, yes.
Yes. So you see, the quantum singularity is what the Romulans use from the power generation on their end. We were not sure of using the same technology as parameters for something like that. So we at Starfleet devised an alternate. You see, we using space-time space-time membrane that exists in 11 dimensions, and it's actually twisted around a Genus 1 topology ring, and it's housed inside an ultra-clean vacuum teardrop-shaped zero-point field reaction chamber, you see. And in that reaction chamber, when the enriched fluorinetic vapor comes in contact with the the other plasma in the weapon, there ends up being a continuum distortion, and that basically creates a zero-point vacuum that ends up releasing rapidly ends up releasing large amounts of energy.
That would explain the high coefficient of dispersal ratio, but how do you contain such a powerful thing? These readings are quite interesting. If we have time, you would have to explain more in detail later. I insist. I'll even buy the first round.
Indeed, Lieutenant Hogg. It is indeed an interesting conversation that I would like to have. Drinks. I believe you will be quite surprised at what we have achieved at Starfleet Research.
Yeah, we're nerds, all right.
Yawn.
So at this point, as weapon specialist talking to you, boss, you can see that his hands are furiously moving along the quantum torpedo, ensuring that all the necessary inputs are provided, all the necessary wiring is hooked up, and it's he's proceeding to arm it. Lieutenant Sean, I want you to give me an insight plus security.
What's my difficulty?
Your difficulty for this would be 1.
I'll spend momentum.
Okay.
Where can we see the momentum, by the way, at this point?
1 minute. Let me just copy it over here. You have 3 in the pool.
Okay. Insight security?
Yeah, insight security.
Okay. Any applicable focuses?
Yes, let me check. Do you have... No, you do not.
Okay. Let's get my sheet up.
You can click on your token and okay, so you have 3. You generated 3 additional, so
And if this is a situation where, so that would be 3 additional, so I got 1 back. So if I could spend 1, is this something where I would have to be able to collect more information about what I'm seeing?
Yes. So there are a few things that are kind of, now that you're here and everything has been kind of proceeding, you have few questions. You're like, wait, who set up this freighter here, and who knows about this experiment?
Yes, that's sort of dawning on me right now.
Yeah, it's kind of
freighter
dawning
kinda-
upon you right now. Like that was the effect of, as you're like, a freighter in space, yes, and somebody set it up over here, definitely from Starfleet, and we're doing a weapons test, yes, but what was the logistics of this mission?
Mhm. Weapons specialist.
Yes, Lieutenant John.
Out of curiosity, how exactly do we know about this freighter out here, and how is this entire mission set up to begin with this freighter? Why this freighter?
Very pertinent questions, Lieutenant John. So the freighter was set up by Starfleet intelligence. It was set up, I would say, less than a week ago. It's a derelict freighter that they found in one of the space docks, beyond repair and of no use to anyone. It was hauled out here and placed and ready for our weapons test. The order for the weapons test in itself came from Starfleet Command. I'm not sure who signed off and what the appropriate chain of command was. All I know was a week ago I was asked to board the Dharma, come here with you and test this quantum torpedo. For my reports to Starfleet, all of my lab simulations and real-world simulations. Let me rephrase the phrase. When I mean real-world, we have tested the weapon, the quantum torpedo, on a planet, uninhabited planet, to ensure that its yield and operation were optimal. All those tests were positive. This is the final test remaining to test it actually in space and within a spaceship. Short of firing it onto this, this would be the last test necessary before we actually load this onto an actual ship.
A week turnaround time, and you don't know who gave this order, weapons specialist? This is a bit disturbing. And the planet part of it also disturbs Brendan, but he's sort of keeping that to himself. He's trying to stay focused on what is really bothering him.
I would like to confirm. When I mean I do not know, as in originated from, the order was given to me by my supervisor. When I reviewed the order, all the necessary approvals were met and were requested and were approved, from what I know. But that's all I do know. I was told that the freighter is secure and this sector of space is secure. But then again, I'm not in Starfleet operations also.
Lyra would, she pulls a tricorder out and just kind of begins scanning for any life forms on the ship other than them as best she can.
Okay.
And does he seem sincere as I'm trying to get a read on him? Does he seem sincere that he doesn't know that he's telling me the truth as far as what he's told me?
Sure. So for that, let's go in order. So Lyra, give me an insight plus science. And I would say, since are you looking for humanoid life forms or any life forms?
Humanoid, yes.
Okay. So then I would say just insight plus science, task difficulty 1. No applicable focus. Rinan, for you it would be insight plus security. I would say task difficulty 1, and you can apply your focus of interrogations.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Lyra.
John's concerned about the entire ordeal. The only thing that registers to Hogg is about the inquiry to the freighter. So as he's helping with the readings, he'll kind of give a cursory glance. Can he tell what type of alien race the freighter is designed to accommodate?
Sure. This freighter looks to be either originating the Andorians or thinking of a Starfleet race that either the Andorians or the Denobulans, one of the two.
Lyra's a Denobulan, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lyra, for you looking around, it looks like a denobulan make, but it's not something you've seen in a long time. You're not sure the exact star date or how old this freighter is. Yes, Renan, insight plus security. Task difficulty 1, focus of interrogations. Boss, perfect. So you now have 6. So Renan, from whatever you read, from body language, from the pattern of speech, and his intent on working on the quantum torpedo, weapon specialist Zevek is giving you the absolute truth. Whatever he knows, as far as he knows, he's letting you know what he knows. Indeed, somebody of his rank and security clearance would not know the exact chain of command from where this particular mission originated, but you can clearly see that he is being truthful about his part in it, which is to test the quantum torpedo. Lyra, you start scanning around the space, and for some reason, you end up not calibrating your tricorder correctly. You end up getting a lot of readings from, but none of it is life form based. It's actually like it's kind of overwhelming your tricorder sensors, and then you realize like actually you're just picking up like a rare metal that is used as a structural reinforcement for this kind of a cargo hold. Yeah. So rather than picking up life forms, you're picking up like inorganic materials.
Lyra like frowns and starts looking at her tricorder, and she just kind of taps it a few times, just wondering what's wrong with it, and then starts to try to fix it as the others continue with their conversations.
And so I sort of rub my head and just kind of think about the situation here, because something's clicking in Sean's mind that there's something not right about the situation. He doesn't believe Zevek's any kind of responsible for it, but that doesn't change what he's thinking, and so he's sort of going to clue him in. Weapon specialist Zevek, something's bothering me about this freighter, the convenience of it, the location. Something doesn't seem right about this. Where are you at on your preparations? Something tells me we need to investigate this freighter just a bit more before we commit to this.
Indeed, and he kind of spend some time you can see him like stroking his chin, thinking about it, and right, we'll do this. He says, it is strange. I agree that a freighter was placed here for our convenience. Starfleet intelligence is not really known for doing things at other people's convenience, if you know what I mean, and he gives a slight chuckle. And you all would know what he means. Starfleet intelligence, like any other intelligence organization, is
oxymoron.
Yes, exactly. But at the same time, all the orders and everything were official completely. And the weapon I have is, I have had it under my watchful gaze all the time. I've not seen anybody tamper with it, change it, and it is, all I can say is that this weapon is ready to go after this test. Like I said, short of firing it out of a ship's torpedo launcher, if this test is successful, we have a new and improved quantum torpedo.
And what exactly is he supposed to do in the ship? Is he just gonna blow the ship up with it, or?
Yes, yeah. So there are two ways you can test it. So he has tested it in his lab using simulations. then he has placed this weapon on a planetary surface and detonated it, like how we would do atomic bombs and so on and so forth. This is the final test of blowing it in space and seeing if there are any other, like any test, there can be unintended consequences or unforeseen outcomes, right? So this is the final test of blowing it within a spaceship in space. Now you could go about it two ways. That is, place the weapon in the ship like you're doing right now, or fire it from your torpedo launcher. But if you have an untested weapon, firing it from a torpedo launcher could be catastrophic for your ship. So this is a slightly safer test. That was his recommendation to Starfleet.
Mm-hmm. Would he know about the changelings shit? He'd be aware of it, or?
Yes, you can say, you can discuss it, but by now enough has happened with respect to changelings that all Starfleet officers of importance know about it.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a way to do the phaser test on our persons?
Yes, you do.
So I'm gonna assume that we all should know that too, right? Like
yes,
we would.
Yes,
all right.
yes.
So well, he's saying that everything was in order with the orders and everything. Yes, weapon specialist, I agree. If your orders are clear and they came through the proper channels, then normally there would be no cause for concern. However, we must consider the enemy we may be dealing with, and we see the efficiency in which the changelings work. They are perhaps already starting to infiltrate parts of our command. Dare I suggest such a thing, but it could be possible this is a manipulation by them one way or the other. I think we should do our due diligence here and make sure that we're not doing something we're not supposed to on this ship. I want to run an investigation.
Lyra
Indeed.
kind of speaks up briefly and she says, "They could be anything. Anything on here. Piece of metal. A light." And she nods and continues to look at her tricorder and trying to figure out what's wrong with it.
Hog, you got him kind of paranoid, so he starts thinking logistically, and he starts to inquire about the test itself. He says, the first he goes to Chan, he's like, "So you think they're here to possibly steal the weapon?"
I don't know about stealing the weapon, but perhaps this entire thing, pointing at the freighter, maybe this is something that we're not supposed to destroy, something important, even if it says it's not in the Starfleet command orders. Again, we must question things with this enemy, or they could be here to steal the weapon. I'm not sure, but something is wrong with this. Something is not tests. Too convenient.
Oh, are the ship's shields operational?
You don't have to run a check for this, but boss, you can see around you that the ship is running on very basic minimum power. No shields, barely anything, just enough to have you guys in here, place the weapon and leave. It has no shields, no weapons, and it is derelict. When you guys came towards the ship, it was derelict, pretty beaten down, and you can make that it can barely move under its own power. So it is possible it was like tractor beamed and hauled over here.
That's not cool, because they can transport if there's no shields. Most distressing.
Yes, your line of questioning now has me worried as well. But gentlemen, all I know is I must complete my mission and detonate this bomb and return to complete the output data, because we need it for the impending war.
Lyra asks, she says, "Mr. Zevik, could we perhaps postpone until we have all the facts straight. Surely that couldn't hurt if we talk to the captain.
Agreed, yes. We must also be careful not to do something hasty and then regret it. Sure, maybe contact the captain and ask him what his thoughts would be.
I would nod and then decide. Lieutenant Chon to the Dharma.
Mr. Chon, this is Nobunaga.
Yes, Captain. We are over here preparing to do the test, but something doesn't seem right about this test. Just the convenience of it. They were able to find this freight within a week. It was moved out here on our behalf. There's some questions about this freighter that I feel like we need to investigate it further before we commit 100% to this test. I wanted to get your opinion.
What does Specialist Zevik say?
The specialist agrees that something is amiss, though he still would like to run the test. He seems all right to postpone at least for some time while we run an investigation of this freighter to see what we can learn.
I'll go chime in. He goes, even if it's only a momentary delay, is there any way we might be able to beam aboard a portable containment unit to secure the weapon while we go to investigate further?
And Nobunaga says, you tell me, Lieutenant, can I teleport that torpedo safely?
No, I was talking about like a portable shield unit to like set around the torpedo if we're going to investigate the freighter.
Yeah, you would like, I mean, the captain would agree, but there is a shield unit that you can port over. And when the captain kind of mishears you and talks about teleportation, you quickly hear Specialist Zevik kind of cut in. If I may, Captain, that's the one thing that we cannot do with this device. The shielding on the torpedo has not yet been calibrated for transporter use. It is.
Yeah, so Nobunaga says, do you want to bring the torpedo back here under guard? Or I can send Ensign Smith and another one of his crew over?
I don't know about what John might think, but I think Zevik, or Weapons Specialist Zevik and myself can maintain the device if they wish to go and investigate further.
I think it would be prudent, Captain, if we had a couple of extra personnel here just to provide security for the engineers, and for the engineer and the weapons specialist, sir.
Very well. I'll beam them aboard with the shielding unit. Keep me apprised. If you need to bring the weapon back here, that's fine.
Thank you, Captain.
Could the Dharma scan the vessel?
Yeah, the Dharma could scan the vessel, indeed.
Yeah, Nobunaga has no idea you're worried about other people or things on this ship, so you tell him.
The hog suggested it, so...
That's what he wants to call the captain.
I was going to leave it to Hog just because he suggested it. I mean, I didn't even think of it, so...
I'd turned to John immediately and said, whoa, what do you suggest? A small detail here to secure the device while the rest of you go and do a quick cursory scan.
Yes, and perhaps a scan from the Dharma would be appropriate as well. Captain, would there be any chance you could scan the freighter with the Dharma?
What would you like me to scan it for, Lieutenant?
Life forms is one thing we are concerned about, just to make sure there's no one else aboard other than us.
Very well. And
any kind of fluctuations or inconsistency in its composition as well, especially regarding these changelings or whatever they're called.
Now Nobunaga turns to Commander Singh and nods for him to issue those orders to the crew.
So, as you guys are discussing the logistics of how you can secure this and how to go about this stuff, you guys suddenly you hear that, and Commander Singh is immediately screaming on the bridge, "Captain, we have 3 Klingon warbirds have decloaked around the freighter." And I'm going to spend 2 threat to do this, as the Klingons fire at the Dharma. The first one misses, the second one fires. Oh, my bad, sorry. This is where we go a little crazy. Control 2d20. Focus, yes. Oh shit, sorry. The first one does hit. Computers. 6 damage, as the first one does hit. My bad. It's a security task, and then the disruptor cannons, as the Dharma is immediately rocked by this hit. And you guys get a breach on your computers as your shields take a hit of more than 5. No, actually, no, you don't have the shields. My bad.
Yeah, we don't have shields.
You don't have the shields. You take a hit of 6, but your scale is 6, so you're able to withstand. You're able to withstand 6 of those, and you just take 1 point of damage as the ship is rocked by disruptor fire from the Klingons. In the meantime, on the freighter, you guys hear the... What's that?
Oh shit.
As 2 Klingon warriors are now have beamed on board, and they start firing phasers at you. So what are you guys gonna do?
Fire back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm tuck and roll and go.
Go for it. So how does this look? Who fires first, and how are we doing this?
John shoots first.
Okay.
But yeah, I upon seeing them teleport in, I initially think it's going to be perhaps the security crew getting in there prior to hearing all the commotion on the bridge, probably through the earpiece. And then I see clearly this is not a security crew that we're looking for. Out the phaser. Spread out. Make sure they don't hit the weapon. Who knows what these fools will do? And then I'll take a shot at the closest one.
Okay, go for it. So this would be your attack phaser.
I'll spend a momentum to make it 3 die.
Okay.
And focus. And I think I have focus hand phasers.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Just get on the ground. I'll you can use an additional momentum to cancel the... Yes,
so you do roll damage. Nice. And you do 6 plus an additional 3, 9 damage to this Klingon as you wound them with your phaser hit. Okay? Who's next?
I guess I'll go. I'm gonna shoot at the same Klingon that Lieutenant Challenge shot at.
Are you gonna use a momentum?
Get an extra die. Using momentum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I did do 2d20 first, right?
No, you have to just do 3.
You have to declare it beforehand.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I'll use a momentum because I'm not sure how well I'm gonna do.
Okay, cool. So roll 3d20.
All right.
And you do not have a focus. You hit
Still
roll damage.
got him.
Right.
That's 4 damage. Nice. Okay. Boss and leader.
Lyra takes cover. That's what she is not a warrior, but she as they kind of beamed in, she's kind of like fiddling with the tricorders here, and when she sees it's Klingons, her eyes go wide, and she like rushes for cover and gets behind one of these steel beams, and then draws her phaser. So her action would be to get cover immediately.
Okay.
Boss Hog immediately cuts into the entire, it's a trap! And he lunges forward and uses his body to shield the weapon specialist as he draws his phaser to lay down his preliminary burst of fire. But that's cinematically. Now mechanically he's going to probably try to do an assist, but he's going to shout out to Zevik. He's going to go, quickly disarm the damn thing and wipe its disarm the thing and wipe its operating system.
Okay. So you're going to do an assist on that?
Yeah, he knows the device, but I think mechanically that would be it, because the main thing, they're trying to get a weapon and this thing's armed. In my mind, what do you do with a gun that somebody's trying to steal? You rip the clip and the bullets out of it. So.
So in your case, so he's going to you can see that he is not used to combat, and he's now looking at you. There's fear, but then he realizes his duty, and he says, "Yes," and he starts running towards the quantum torpedo to basically turn it off. So he's going to do an engineering. Let me check something which is science. There's a daring and science. That is going to be very difficult though. So.
Oh, it is? Hell, that's the whole reason I wanted him to do it, because I figured the difficulty would be less because he built the damn thing.
Oh, no, that's true. That's true. But it is, what I mean to say is, it's difficult, so your assistance is going to help, but it's going to be a task difficulty 3 because he's being fired upon and he's trying to disarm an experimental device. So,
yeah.
So he's going to do that.
Well, if it blows up, I'd live, so...
Yeah, task difficulty 3. I'm going to use one of your momentum on his behalf, if you guys are okay with that.
Yes.
Okay, momentum is at 4, 3d20, applicable focus, yes. Task difficulty 3.
Oh, you fucking mad. Oh, no.
Boss, go ahead and make your roll. In your case, it will be daring and engineering.
Oh shit!
How many momentums total?
We have 4 total still.
And it takes how much to remove a complication?
I believe it takes 2 to remove a complication.
Okay.
Yeah, you can spend that if you want on that.
Yeah, I will spend 1 on the roll.
Okay.
And based off of that, I will wind up spending 2 to remove the complication. So I'll spend 3 total, 1 for an extra roll, and then.
I see. Okay. So now momentum is down to 1. Okay, make your roll.
Nice.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, how does this look?
He'll be, like I said, he'll be using his body to try and shield the guy while he's doing it. As he's looking over, and he'll see the guy frantically going through it. He's like, no, not that combination. Don't you remember the diagnostic? Slow down. I've got you covered. So take a deep breath. Try again quickly.
And then he quickly punches it in, and you can see that he disarms the weapon, and the weapon is now disarmed. At that point, I'm going to move the action to the Dharma. Captain Nobunaga, you have been fired upon. by 3 Klingon warbirds. What is your response?
Shields up, Commander Singh. Well, actually, that's not true. So let me ask you a question, Ripper. All my people go first, right?
Yes.
In my crew, so I can do. Okay. First thing, I would have my comms officer. He hits his badge. What's going on over there, Lieutenant? I've got 3 Klingon birds of prey on me.
We've got 2 Klingon warriors at least, Captain. Fighting them off, trying to protect the weapon.
And he basically, I need to raise my shields. Going to beam you back.
Negative, Captain. We can't leave them with the weapon.
And he's Lyra.
That is the predicament.
Yeah. Well, it's disarmed, right?
It is disarmed, but you cannot beam it in. The shielding is.
You will kill us all.
Yeah. And if you raise your shields, you can't beam your people in.
Yeah. Well,
we can hold out here, Captain.
He says, "Shields up!" And he raises the shields.
Shields go up immediately. You're on 15 shields. And that was your minor action. Anything else you would like to do?
For Nobunaga specifically, let's see. He's going to...
This would be, you could use, for example, what was that? Direct and leadership.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. Yeah, well, okay. I don't know if I want to do that yet, right? Am I able to act for someone else on the Dharma, like whoever's my acting security officer, etc., etc., etc.?
So I would say, 1 minute, let me check something. Once per scene. Remember, scene keeps changing, right? Okay, so
okay.
You can only use it once for this scene, but once this thing is resolved, you get a new scene. Okay. So that's what a scene means.
Okay.
It would be standard operating procedure that when Rinnan left his post on the bridge, the next security officer, in this case Elliot Smith, would be at the weapons control. So you could potentially do a direct leadership with him.
Yep.
And you can roll for both.
Yeah. Nobunaga stands up and just slams his hand down on the console. Photon torpedo! And bird of prey and Mark 87429 fire, and he's just obviously firing at the first one right there.
Perfect. Okay. So this is how it's going to work. Let's do it in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, so roll you're assisting the task. So you roll command. I would say command plus insight, because you are using your insight to know. Sorry, command plus presence in this matter of craziness. Command plus presence.
Okay.
All right,
command.
Task command.
And I'm running 2d10.
2d10. No, 1d10. Assist.
1d10. Assist. Okay.
Yeah.
No focus or a focus?
No focus.
Okay. Task difficulty is.
You set it 1 for now.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. Now I wanted to click. You have access to Elliot, so click on Elliot.
Yep.
And do a control plus security task.
Okay. Dice pool 2.
Dice pool 2 or 3, up to you, whichever one
2.
You have, right?
Yeah, 2.
Okay.
Does he have focus?
I would say for this, he would not.
Okay. Task difficulty with photon torpedoes are...
This is photon torpedoes, so I would say for... Just put 3.
Okay.
The photon torpedo starts difficulty is 3, but you have 1 success. He's gonna roll, and then the ship's gonna roll. So.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. So that was that.
Ellie,
And
my
now
man.
I want you to click on the ship,
Yep.
and I want you to do.
Torpedo. Attack torpedo.
It would be weapons plus security.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. So, and then click on the attack or you just click on attack torpedo.
Yep.
Sorry, my bad. Ignore the 0 there.
Yep. Roll
Click
damage.
on roll location. Roll damage. Roll location. Nice. Perfect. High yield. So you have high yield on. High yield inflicts massive damage. 1 or more breaches, it inflicts 1 additional breach. Okay, perfect. So let's see how much you have. 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. The scale is 3, so 2 go through the shields. So you hit the torpedoes go flying, and you can see that the torpedoes hit the shields of the bird of prey.
Right.
The shields do take some hits, but you can see that there's not much damage on the ship.
Okay.
Okay. Now moving back the action to the freighter. You guys see that the Klingons are screaming at each other in Klingon because this Klingon is badly hurt. So you can see them. They basically, and they say something, and next thing you know, both the Klingons disappear. The quantum torpedo disappears as you guys hear the ever familiar on your ship screen, Captain, you see that the Klingons have cloaked and they bug out.
Okay. The captain is back on his comm and he's like, "What's happening down there?"
This is Lieutenant Chon. The Klingons have left. The weapon it's gone, Captain.
What do you mean gone?
It must have been transported with them. They transported in and transported out. The torpedo is gone.
Mr. Zevik, did you not say I could not transport that torpedo?
Yes, Captain, you cannot transport that torpedo. The Klingons are insane, Captain. They don't know what they have done to themselves. Captain, if they have transported the torpedo, that means the torpedo is now compromised structurally, which means that the systems that were built, that were used to build the torpedo, is going to have a chain reaction. The Klingons, whichever ship transported it onto them, is not going to last very long, Captain. We need to track those ships.
Nobunaga's like, why? I hope they blow up.
Captain, we do not know the technology they may have. What if by the time it blows up, they are able to get plans of the thing or make scans? It is impossible to know what they have, Captain. Plus, we must report this to Starfleet. This test was supposed to be a secret. The fact that the Klingons attacked us, and why would the Klingons attack us, Captain? We are not at war with them.
Specialist Zevik, I do not know. Lieutenant Sean, get everyone back on the ship immediately.
Understood, Captain. All right, everyone, round up together.
Yeah,
Back to the shuttle.
Hog's initial response off comm would be when he mentions about Klingons, he goes, "They're nothing more than vultures."
Yes, this is strange and disturbing. Not only that they were willing to go through so much to take this weapon from us, but that they knew about it in the first place. Something is wrong with this. All of it's wrong. We need to get back to the ship.
Yeah, as he's waddling back to the runabout, he's asking Zevik too, in the time of getting there and on the ship and flying back. He's like, "Klingon technology, they're already cloaked, but is there any way we might be able to detect emissions from this chain reaction you spoke of?"
And then he realizes it. He's like, "Oh my god. These Klingons are insane. They not only transported this weapon, they are now cloaked with it. We have no idea what cloaking technology is going to do with that chain reaction. We need to find that weapon as soon as possible." And he starts rushing towards the Vedas. He's like, he's kind of flustered, and he's like mumbling into himself, and you can hear him like, gibbering some scientific terminologies back and forth, and like the quantum leap can happen, and then the 0-point vacuum can be breached, and he's like busy tapping away at his tricorder, trying to come up with various scenarios. And you guys board the Vedas, and Carter, you're back in your, you're reminded of your first fight back in the Alpha Quadrant, and you kind of go into your mode when things go south, where you become like this machine, and you don't even need to roll anything. As you get everybody on the radars, you start moving back towards the Dharma. Eventually you guys dock and get yourselves back in back on the bridge, and you move the action there.
You see Nobunaga's talking to Singh as you guys come into the bridge, and he shoots you guys a look, and then he's like, "Someone get me Admiral Teresa on the phone now." On the phone. On screen now. And you guys have a communications officer at the back who quickly pulls out his cell, and he types in some stuff on the back console, and then you have Admiral Talara pop up on the view screen. "Yes, Captain." "Admiral Talara, this mission that you have sent us, there's been a problem."
"A problem? What do you mean a problem? Nobody's supposed to know about this mission. It's just you and me. How can there be a problem? Everything was perfectly set up."
"Yes, perfectly set up for 3 Klingon birds of prey to uncloak next to us, shoot us, and then transport the weapon away."
And you can see for the first time on her Vulcan face, there is it's kind of like contorting. There is an emotion trying to express itself, but the Vulcan in her is like, what are you trying to do, man? So, and she says, "Captain, I need to look into this matter. Please do what you can to get me more details about this attack you just had. I need to look into. I hope it's not the case. Let me get back to you, Captain." And then she just kind of goes off screen.
Yeah. Nobunaga turns and kind of walks back towards. He walks over towards the specialist, and he's like, "How can we track this weapon? Is there anything we can do?"
"Yes, Captain. The Klingons, brave though they may be, but they are indeed stupid. They have transported it and are flying with it under cloak, which means that it is going to leave a trail of high energy plasma in its wake, the contents of the torpedo is going to react with the cloaking device, and the fact it was transported is going to compromise the shell casing of the torpedo. And he kind of starts punching on his tricorder, and he says, "Captain, we need to make a 360-degree wide area sensor sweep, and we need to look for plasma emissions of this particular wavelength."
That would be Lyra, I'm guessing. Be science, or would that be
Yeah,
engineering?
Lyra, and both science and engineering. This is a large, like it's a 360-degree, large-scale sweep, because you're trying to get over a large area of space, trying to pick up any plasma. So,
Yeah.
The way this would run is like you'll need to do some enhancements to your existing systems to be able to pick up. So, you would know that much. So
Yeah,
how does that?
Nobunaga says, "Very well, Ensign Hogg," he says on his comm.
Lieutenant Hogg.
I'm sorry, yeah, Lieutenant Hogg. "Assist Mr. Zevik and Ensign Lyra in finding this plasma trail." He kind of like frowns and says, "Also, have one of your engineers look into repairing the damage we took."
Yeah, right away, Captain. Definitely.
Okay, so this is how it's going to work. I'm moving the action to the engineering. So in engineering, there is just put some books here. Okay, so there's so Zevek, Lyra, and Boss are in engineering. So Zevek comes up to Boss. Lieutenant Hogg, you see, when the quantum field is breached, which it would be because they are transporting it under cloak, stupid Klingons, is breached, it is going to cause high energy plasma to be leaking. And this plasma is going to be of wavelength, and he's going to show you some numbers, nanometer. And the plasma is going to leak out of the casing because they transported it, and the casing is not protected for transportation. You see where I'm getting at, Lieutenant Hogg?
Yes. What kind of immediate adverse effects would the plasma have upon the Klingon physiology?
They're going to get high energy radiation poisoning. That is the minimum. That's what's going to. At worst case, it's going to cause deterioration of their systems. And if the systems can't keep up, then their warp core will imminently breach. It's going to be like a cascading chain reaction, Lieutenant Hogg. You see, think of it as a system that just starts collapsing one on top of the other. Next thing you know, it's a house of cards that just collapse.
Do you think they would jettison the device if they were to receive a fatality?
It is hard to know, Lieutenant, how so far the Klingons have not behaved in a rational manner. But then again, and he kind of thinks for a bit. I want to just see if he can make that leap. He does. Engineering plus insight. It's like unclear, Lieutenant Hogg. It's unclear as to. I don't know. It's just to me that they're not thinking rationally. So if they're not thinking rationally, anything is possible.
And the worst possible detonation magnitude of the device as it was, what would we expect to see?
Anything in that area is going to be incinerated completely. We would not. It would just leave high energy plasma radiation in that sector. Now, given the yield of the quantum torpedo and a standard Klingon warbird, I would say about 500,000 kilometers in diameter. Anything within that area would be destroyed.
Most disturbing. Is there any way we might be able to encase the structure with a shield?
It is hard to say, Lieutenant Hogg. It is unclear as to how far the chain has occurred within the quantum torpedo and how far the chain reaction has occurred as in the Klingon ship as a whole.
Too many variables. Best we just try to find the damn thing first.
Yes. So we'll need to do a 360-degree long-range scan to at least pick up the plasma emissions. Maybe it won't be instantaneous, but before they left this vicinity, there would be plasma trails being left, and it would be faint at least to begin with before they would have been able to detect it.
We'll prepare your preliminary algorithms. I'm going to see what damage has been inflicted by the Klingons upon our computer systems. I'm receiving several minor alarms.
Indeed. So he starts tapping away at his tricorder, and as you do a minor action, that is a minor action of repair. It's in the what is that? Starship damage. So restore minor action. So it's basically you do basic repairs in the time that he's sitting and making checks on his tricorder. About 30 minutes pass, which gives you more than enough time to make the repairs. 30 minutes is way too much. You finish it in about 10 minutes, and you're just looking at all the other systems to ensure nothing really untoward has happened in parallel. And he comes back. Yes, Lieutenant Hogg, what we need to do is we need to scan, but the power of the scan needs to be amplified. We'll have to generate a little more power while we run the scans from the sensors.
Would it jeopardize the ship's shields?
No, it will not.
Very well, make it so. I'll try to figure out a way to reroute power as best possible.
Okay. So he calls over Lyra to show him what they're actually scanning. So Lyra, this is going to be, in your case, first, and you can use the ship to help you with this. So this would be a control plus science. Task difficulty 3. And your focus of astrophysics.
How much momentum do we have?
You have 1 momentum. However, you can make the tasks easier if Lieutenant Hogg first works on amplifying the ship's sensor power. So do you guys RP that back and forth?
Yeah. Lyra is just looking, she's like, Lieutenant Hogg, this is going to be difficult for me to scan all the necessary areas without a boost in power. Can you assist?
I'm on it, blasted woman, give me time. And he'll start filling around keying in stuff, and then he'll inform me, like, Dex 3 through 7, he says, expect to experience random fluctuations in the lighting system and coolant systems. Bear with me, we're trying to run an important test.
Okay, so for you, it'll be a task of 1, control plus engineering, and fusion reactors apply. The focus of fusion reactors apply. Nice. So, what do you tell Lyra in response?
He says, you have the power, run the scan.
And she nods and looks back down at the data reading on the screen, taps a few things. Initiating scan.
So now your difficulty would be 2. You have 2 momentum in the pool.
Science
gonna
and
be-
control with focus, right?
Yes, science and control.
I'm gonna use both of them. And ship.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, you can't use both. You can use one to get an additional die.
Oh, that's
You
right.
need-
Because it's
yeah.
not 1-to-1 in Star Trek.
Yeah, it's not 1-to-1.
Okay, all right, gotcha. I will use one then. With an applicable focus. And my difficulty was 2 now, you said?
Your difficulty is 2. Yes, your difficulty is 2. Give me a moment. Let me check something. I think I looked up this before. Oh, okay. Hold on. 256. High resolution sensors. Your ship has high resolution sensors, so that gives you an. What is high resolution sensors? It says 256. There you go. Can gain large amounts of accurate data. Not in combat. Any successful task is assisted by the ship sensors. Gain 1 bonus momentum. Okay, so so you can use that 1 momentum to roll 3 dice in your case. So go ahead and do that first. Okay. And now you can click on the ship's token. Do you see that?
Yep, I sure do.
Okay, and this would be a ship sensors task with science. Okay, so but you did get
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens is you were able to successfully pick up the trails, but your programming sequence ended up drawing a little too much power from the Dharma. Boss, you start seeing across your screens decks 31, 42, 56, 14, and 5 lose power for a brief period of about 5 to 10 seconds, and then the power comes back on again. How do you guys RP that out?
Yeah, Lyra just kind of looks. She doesn't notice anything about the power. I have it here in sector 87.4 in.
Turning to express concern and interest in your findings, he notices the alarms go off, and he immediately starts trying to compensate for them. And he's like, "Blasted woman, what have you done to my ship?"
And she looks. I ran my scans, Lieutenant.
He keeps pressing. He's like, "Wow!" And he's trying to find the source of it. Try to fix everything pretty much.
Okay, so Lyra, let me send you this message.
Did you send me something, Zachary?
I'm sending it to Lyra. Oh, it's not. Oh, 1 minute. Hold on.
Just send it to Nobunaga.
Yeah. 1 minute.
Is it a handout or are you whispering me?
I'm whispering it to you. Did you get that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, she.
Hold on. Almost done.
Okay.
This is the kicker.
Yeah, Lyra is like tapping away, and she's looking, just kind of like as she's working normally, and then her brow furrows, and then you can tell she kind of looks down and does something again, and frowns deeper, and then you can tell just kind of like she's doing the same thing to like triple check something. She kind of steps back and looks between Hog and the specialist, and she taps her comm. I'm guessing it's more than just one-way communication, right? And all the important figure, Captain, bad news. It looks like these Klingons, if my calculations are correct, when we're following the plasma trail, are heading straight into Romulan space. Nobunaga just make sure, Ensign. And she goes about it again and again and again, tapping furiously, taking her time.
And while she is doing that, following her captain's orders to triple check her work, you, on your view screen, you get a hail. And it's Admiral Talara. Captain.
Admiral. More bad news.
Yes, I have more bad news from my side as well. It seems the Klingons have declared war on the Federation.
Clearly.
No, I mean the entire Federation, Captain, not just the theft of the quantum torpedo. They have attacked Arcanis. They have withdrawn from the Kitomer Accords. They are attacking multiple Federation outposts as we speak. It's an all-out attack against the Federation.
I'm afraid I don't think it's just the Klingons, Admiral.
Why?
Why do you say
that, Captain?
We've traced the weapon. They're taking it into Romulan space.
Romulan space? This does not make any sense, Captain. Why would the Klingons enter Romulan space with advanced weapons technology?
Because they perhaps have an accord with the Romulans, and now we fight both. That would be my thoughts.
If that were the case, Captain, then you are between a rock and a hard place. I think that's what you humans use as an expression, correct?
Some do.
Very well, Captain. I will let you to follow the Klingons and do what is necessary. If you can retrieve the weapon, destroy it completely. It cannot fall in anybody's hands. I repeat, Captain, war is upon us. Starfleet protocol has switched over to wartime. That weapon cannot fall in anyone's hands. Am I clear?
You are clear, Admiral. I would suggest that you vet Specialist Zevik's chain of command. I think you'll probably find someone or someone related to it is a traitor.
Yes, I plan to do my investigation about that as well. It is improbable that Starfleet intelligence could be infiltrated like that. This was a top secret mission. Command Eyes only. There was no way anyone could know about this. Yes, and I need to investigate this Romulan intrigue. It still doesn't make any sense. The Klingons hate the Romulans. Yes, I'll look into this, Captain.
You do realize I'll be heading into Romulan space if I follow the Klingons, more than likely? That in itself could start a war with the Romulans if somehow this is some sort of ploy by the Klingons to turn us against them.
Well, Captain, then I wish you the best of luck. We cannot fight wars on two fronts. And if the Dominion see that this is happening and they attack from the wormhole, we definitely cannot fight the war on three fronts. And then she takes a moment and she thinks and she says, Captain, I wish to inform you that the Romulans have signed a non-aggression treaty with the Dominion. So keep that in mind.
Yes, Admiral. Has anyone spoken to the Cardassians? They would be an ally right now, considering the Romulans considering the Klingons have attacked them, and now they're attacking us.
Indeed, Captain, but as we speak, half of Cardassian territory has been overtaken by the Klingons. The Cardassians, it seemed, were way more secretive about their recovery from the war with Bajor. The Klingons have almost routed them out. The Cardassians are in no shape or form able to help us at this point. And it is in the Federation's best interest to not fight a war with the Klingons. We have done this before in the past, and it has not ended well for both sides. I do not wish to open a power vacuum for the Dominion to come in and step through. Do what you must. Defend yourself. Do not start a war with the Romulans if you can. Good luck.
He nods. I'll keep you informed, Admiral, if we're still alive.
Very well, Captain. And the screen turns off. While all that happened, Lyra, Captain, the records are confirmed. They are headed into Romulan territory.
She looks and... Yes, my calculations are correct. Naga nods. Says... Punch the cord... Yeah, go ahead.
I would say at this point it is not inconceivable that you can punch the coordinates and start moving towards them, but have like a war council and get everybody's feedback, and that happens all the time in Trek lore. So just making sure you guys.
Yeah, so Nobunaga is... I mean, he'll just do it on the bridge at this point. Mm-hmm. This is war. And he turns to his crew and he says, "This is what I've trained you for. Every mission that you have done could have been life and death, but this certainly heightens the danger. If these Klingons get into Romulan space, and we are found, likely the Romulans will attack us. We will be overwhelmed and we will be destroyed. We need to catch these Klingons before they escape." And he looks to Ensign Locks and full impulse.
I want to make a slight correction. This would be full warp.
Oh, we're actually going to go to warp. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Alright, Captain.
Yeah.
Full warp.
He calms down to Boss Hog and says, "Lieutenant Hog, I'm going to need everything out of this ship to catch them. Give me everything you've got. Shut down all power to non-essential systems. Increase our warp." It sits back down.
Hog will get the orders, and is there any way to check our flight plan from down there to like coincide energy output?
Yeah, so engineering and bridge are basic. Otherwise, it would be very hard for you to like respond to ships, the captain's orders. So you get the flight path from your current location to where, in the general vicinity where the Klingons are escaping towards, and go ahead and make an engineering plus control task difficulty 1, and your focus of warp applies as you try to get the ship to maximum warp.
Okay, I'm not on the screen.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Here we go.
And what was it again?
Control plus engineering.
And applicable focus, and it's difficulty what?
Task difficulty 1, applicable focus here.
Okay. No!
We're not rolling too great this session.
So
Speak for yourself.
So what happens is you are able to get the maximum warp, but you end up drawing way too much power while doing so. The next scene, you're going to start with a little less power than you should.
Yeah, it'd probably be the pre-existing complication that arise. Still trying to work the bugs out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could easily see it as it's acting up. His Hog's not having a good day, because once he gets the flight path recording, he's just what? That's taking us directly towards Romulan space. What's our captain, good Captain thinking? And he'll start filling around, and then he'll notice the alarms pop back up again, and he goes, "Blasted! I thought I fixed that." And he'll start doing his best to do what the captain said.
Go fast.
Okay.
He would definitely report the minor glitches, though. He says, "Captain, I'm giving you everything she's got. I'm still experiencing some residual complications from having to reroute power previously to scan for the blasted weapon."
Get it under control, Lieutenant. We'll need everything we have on this ship.
Understood, sir, and my apologies.
He doesn't say.
Okay. So you guys calculate the flight path, and it's going to take you at maximum warp about 30 minutes to catch up with the Klingons. So you guys start, flying towards Romulan neutral zone in hopes to catch the Klingons before they actually cross over. Is anybody doing anything at this point? What are your individual tasks as you guys are preparing to possibly head into war? What are you guys doing?
I would just be manning the security station.
Okay.
Approach the captain to speak with him about an idea that I have for the when we encounter the Klingons.
Okay.
Yeah, he waves you. You notice that the captain gets a lot less formal right now. So kind of like, I assume you're kind of like walking up and kind of waiting for him to address you, and he just like waves a hand for you to talk. Like, just get out with it. We don't have time for this.
Captain has sent a proposal to you whenever we approach the Klingon birds of prey.
Yes.
If we can identify which one the weapon is on, and we're able to get a small team aboard to recover the weapon, I feel this is an endeavor we should attempt.
Considers it. And they'll be cloaked, more than likely. Won't be able to beam you on. By the time we get there, they will see us, and they will raise their shields.
Potentially, but they will have to decloak in order to draw the power. We may have a small window of time to get a team aboard.
Thinks about that.
So if we could stabilize this weapon and then return. It's asking a lot, Captain, but this weapon, with the situation that we're in, it would be a massive boon to the Federation.
Nobunaga says, "I can't transport it, Lieutenant. That means you would have to go aboard, steal a shuttle, and fly it out with the weapon."
I understand what I'm asking, sir, but we need this. I think we need this weapon. We'll need it in the coming days.
He considers that, and then considers his orders, and that's too risky, Lieutenant. We need to destroy it. That means we need to destroy that ship. To do that, I will need all of you here. I do not believe sending you on board with a handful of officers is likely to produce success, even though you are a good officer, and I believe you will be a good leader. But in this you are wrong. I don't think it's possible. That thing will be guarded heavily. And then, when you're on board the ship, they will send every single person they have at you. They will pin you down until you're overwhelmed. You will not be able to get to a ship to fly away. That is, if your pilots even survive.
And Sean's disappointed because he's definitely looking for this opportunity, but he sighs, "Understood, Captain." And I would nod and head back to my...
Before you leave, he says, "But I have another idea."
Yes, Captain.
Zypher, let me ask you a question here. Is it possible to scan from warp? I'm guessing not, correct?
Let me think about my look. If anybody else has any... I would say...
I don't think it's ever been covered, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there's two things. Because, okay, so we cannot find a cloaked ship. That's impossible, correct?
Yes.
So, what I'm wondering...
I wouldn't say impossible. You do not have the technology.
Right. Okay. So, Nabunaga's question is, how do we find these guys when we arrive there? They're just going to be cloaked, so they have to...
Plasma. If it's specific, and how specific is it? Because we might be able to locate them just by reading the emissions to see what ship it's on. Yeah, that was my thought.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So we can find the direct... we can find the actual where that plasma is coming from. Hopefully, okay. So, sorry, I'm just kind of talking through it to myself. So
no, I would say for the matter of this, you can attempt to scan up ahead while in warp, to kind of scan up ahead. It'll be tricky, but maybe you might get some data, and that can help you with preparing for when you basically get out of warp. How to approach the scenario.
Yeah, I was thinking because the first example of this in my mind is the first episode of DS9. Is they were in the shuttle and they entered the wormhole, which was piloting them through the equivalent to warp speed in my mind. Mm-hmm. And they had a sensitive readout of everything around them, and it was a rough ass ride, but they were able to read stuff around them immediately around them.
Yeah. You can you can definitely do that. You can try ahead of you. You can make some engineering checks, role play that out, try and get some information. You have a lot of options.
So I'll wait until Ian gets back because it's kind of...
Okay. Yeah, we can all take a quick 2-3 minute bio break.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good. Being an ensign's really easy.
Yeah. People just tell you what to do and you do it.
Yep, that's it. I mean, I'm sure in the TV show they spoke up a little more, but I'm like, nope, I'll follow orders.
Yeah, I have an idea.
What about if we just use something to make the torpedo blow up on the ship itself?
I mean, if I blow up the ship, it's gonna blow up, right? That's kind of Nabunaga's thought, but...
we should have two concerns. The first is what will happen if we do blow the ship up with the weapon, and making sure that it blows up in Federation or neutral space.
Well, I mean, we just blow it up and get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, I mean, Nabunaga's not as concerned about number one, to be honest. Little kamikaze in him. But number two, yeah, he's trying to get there before it.
I mean, that's just, Thinking what the ensign's thinking, not saying though.
Yeah, right. Like, man, I joined this ship. I'm screwed. How did that
Yep.
happen?
Like I said, full steam ahead into the ship, right?
Maybe. You never know. You're not gonna Pearl Harbor it if that's what you're saying. But...
And the other thing I got me thinking too was this ship's on its way to Romulan space to use our torpedo against them and make it look like we bombed them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not that they would need that excuse anyway.
No, but it's there.
Romulan wants to go to war with us. They would just go to war with us.
Stupid Klingons.
Fucking bad.
Klingons are batshit crazy.
It's not like Sims underwater for anybody else.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm inhaling my steam inhaler. So it's like a face mask and it blows out steam. Helps with the sinuses.
Okay.
What the fuck?
You get to know new things about Sim every day.
Yeah, say Zypher's gonna get you for trying to pretend to be Darth Vader, man. Wrong game, huh?
You're gonna take
trying to-
random damage somehow.
No, God, I am your father.
Trying to pretend to be
Don't
the.
do it. I'm speaking from experience. Don't
Yeah.
do it.
Trying to pretend to be that one guy that Zypher's playing Swamps game that had the fucking respirator hook ganja.
Yep. If you cross link different genres, and you're the pilot, so you can really hurt everybody around. So be careful.
Sim's just gonna say, "Watch out, Chewie, we're going in," and then that's when the kamikaze happens.
Oh man.
God.
Alright.
Cool.
I could do a good Chewie with the face mask.
Cool. So everybody's back? Good to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So Nabunaga says,
Uh-huh.
"One moment, Lieutenant. I have another idea." And
Yes,
he
Captain.
goes, "Have you ever heard about the Zelek maneuver?"
Have I heard about the Zelek maneuvers?
Well, I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm doing techno Star Trek babble, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
The
No,
Zelek.
you wouldn't have heard the Zelek maneuver for Renan's case. It would be something only the captain would know from his experience.
He kind of leans back. The Zelek was a ship, much like ours. Had an excellent engineer, just like ours as well. They were able to scan from warp. They were giving chase to a cloaked Klingon ship. And this ship was damaged, leaving a plasma trail. Not exactly the same, I think, but good enough. The Zelek came out of warp and knew exactly where this ship was. Shot a photon torpedo at the cloaked ship while its shields were down and destroyed it. That's what we're going to try to do.
I understand, Captain. It's a solid plan. We can track the plasma emissions as though the vessel was damaged and then hit it when it least expects it. Yes, it's a good plan, but I heard about the skill of destruction that can be caused by the detonation of the experimental weapon. How will we escape the blast?
We will drop out of warp as far away as we have range. But we may not. Our mission is to destroy that weapon, not survive. Once we shoot, and we're sure that the Klingons are destroyed, we'll go into warp immediately. That's all we can do.
And John sort of thinks about it for a moment. Understood, Captain. I'm with you on this one, sir.
And he just looks at you and he's like, I hope so. And he just taps his comm to the engineer. He's like, Engineer Hogg.
Yes, Captain.
I want you and Ensign Lyra to come up with a plan how we can scan this plasma leak from warp. It's been done before, so don't tell me it can't be.
He'll sound like he's about to protest and just go, oh, I'll see what I can do, Captain.
I expect a report in 20 minutes. We have another 20 before we get there. Turn this around quickly, engineer.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know you well enough to go all Scotty on you just yet. But as soon as that comm's over, he's definitely like, he's out of his Asian mind.
Oh, shit.
Amazing. Nice. So, what's going to happen next? What are you guys thinking?
Lyra hears it and just walks over and looks at Hogg, and she begins to try to extrapolate some data to see, like, takes into account the speed of the ship and various readings and seeing if it can be done.
Weapon specialist would have heard everything you guys have discussed. Says, it may be possible, Engineer Hogg, it may be possible. It's not just any plasma trail now, is it? It's of a specific wavelength, and we know the source, and we can calculate rate of decay, and we can combine and all our knowledge about all the isotopes that we're generating, and maybe possible. It's difficult, maybe possible.
Finding the blasted thing isn't really much of my concern. It's maintaining a lock upon it at such velocities of a starship traveling to warp speed. That's my major concern.
Indeed. But what is warp speed actually? Is it not just a metadimensional membrane that covers the ship? If we cancel out the time and the gravity and the 4 other dimensions, we can still calculate over the remaining 7 dimensions, wouldn't you say? He's kind of like thinking and scratching his head.
He doesn't quite catch exactly what you say, but he understands the concept of it. So he'll like immediately go back into somewhat geeky mode. And he goes, so you're saying remove the variables and only focus our efforts upon finding the constants?
Exactly, Engineer Hogg. Your grasp of the engineering language and language of communication surpasses me completely. That's as succinctly as one can put it. Yes.
That most definitely narrows down the list of criteria that we need to search for. Definitely worth a pursuit. You there, was she an ensign or is Lyra ensign or?
Yeah, she's an ensign.
Yeah, you there, Ensign Lyra. Let us put our proverbial heads together.
And she nods and she's like, of course, Lieutenant. And she walks over and begins to work away. Doesn't say much.
So let's do this as a series of tasks building upon the chain. First would be to try and kind of list out all the variables and the constants that you're trying to like, focus on and ignore the noise in, right? So this would be I would say reason and science. Your focus of computers would apply.
And this is for Lyra?
This is for Lyra, and the ship's computers can be used for
reason and science, is what you said?
Reason and science. Ship's computers apply.
Focus, yes.
Focus, yes.
Task difficulty?
I would say the task difficulty for this would be 2. And you'll be assisted by the ship if you want to.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord. Okay. You can
Computers.
click on the ship's token and see if you
Yeah.
generate
So science computers.
yes, task computers and perfect. Okay, so Lyra, you're having a hard time sifting the noise through the data. You're able to kind of localize what needs to be worked on, but you're having a hard time differentiating, right? You've reduced the problem set, but now you're still having a hard time differentiating and digging in further.
Yeah, she kind of. This is impossible. I don't know how the captain expects this to work. I've removed several data sets, but this array, I'm unable to isolate the parameters of the 7th and 8th membrane versus the 2nd and 4th. She just
And then
looks at Hog, kind of like, help me type of look.
He'll grab the data pad and give it a brusque look.
Hog, you can do a reason plus science, and I would say your electroplasma power system focus applies. Difficulty 1.
God.
Oh,
Just
shit.
in the session, they got there. They got to Romulan space. It's over.
So how does what happens, boss?
That
He'll
maneuvering.
grab the data tablet and he's just like, "Oh, unorganized." He says, "You have your you're going to the 7th layer. It's bleeding down into the 5th layer. You have to reorganize it." And he basically spends too much time reorganizing. I said, "I can't make any sense of this," and hands her back the data tablet.
Yeah.
Weapon specialist Zevek, he's like, have you tried isolating the power fluctuations caused by the plasma isotopes of type 6, 7, 8, 9, and 4C? Lieutenant Ensign Lyra.
6, 7, 8, 9, and 4C. No. And she begins to attempt that.
Try that. It's those isotopes generally don't decay over the time period that we're looking at. So we should ignore those, and maybe that will reduce the problem set, make it a little easier. This time, Lyra, do now that you have a little more information, do a control plus science.
Focus no, focus yes.
Focus of does that data give you some insight, or and what would be role play wise, so I can.
Yeah, so she takes those, and basically what she does is she's like basically doing queries of all these different parts of the data, right? And there's just what she's able to remove, because she was querying for those isotopes that he had given her. So it was causing, where it would have been like 50,000 results now after she removes, or if she's able to remove them all, it would cut her like results in half. So she's basically taking a variable out of the query that she's doing.
Okay, so in that scenario, are you trying to explore new theories, or you're coming up with your own theories with that information he has given?
Yeah, because this is all very new to her. She's never scanned from warp, so everything is new. She's making deductions and hypothesis about different data sets, and she is trying to remove some and add some as she thinks necessary.
Okay. So I would say your value of explore to test new theories applies here. So if you want, you can use that and gain and use your determination.
Yes, I would.
Okay. So you automatically get 2 successes, but go ahead and roll. So in case you generate for the momentum.
What's the difficulty too?
Difficulty would be 2. Control plus science. Ooh, nice. There you go. So how does that look as you succeed and generate 2 momentum for the
Yeah,
people?
she says, yes. Officer Zelik, you're correct. Removing these parameters left me with a substantially less data set to work through. And then she starts looking through and she's like, I can remove this and this. And she kind of starts talking to herself and she goes through and she's just quickly paring down the options until she gets one string of a data set to look for. Engineer Hogg, I believe this is what you will have to scan, or this is what you will have to program for our scans to be successful. And she hands over the data pad.
He grabs it, assuming it's going to be all disarrayed again. Immediately starts furrowing his brow as he's looking through, and sure enough, it's all a bunch of nonsense and non-organized gibberish to him. Then he starts to notice patterns in it, and he immediately goes, "Oh, I do believe, woman, you're onto something." He'll immediately turn and go, "Computer, take previous scenario, isolate and extrapolate the following sequences," and he'll start rambling off stuff from his data pad.
Mm-hmm. This is perfect. So go ahead and this would be a control plus engineering for you. Task difficulty would be 2, and you can use the ship's computers plus science.
Computers, sensors, and science. I will definitely spend a momentum if there's one.
Okay, so let's do your task first. So it will be control plus engineering. You can use a momentum, so that's...
do I have a focus or not?
For you, no, not for this particular thing.
Oh my god.
Okay. And now roll off the ship. There's a ship token there in the corner.
We are
it has a macro.
sucking so bad.
Sensors and engineering?
No, this would be... actually, yes, let's do sensors. Sensors and... sensors and engineering. Yes, go for that.
Oh, God. Bye-bye, bomb.
So there's still time. It's 20 minutes. You still have time. So you kind of realize that you're still not understanding something. There's some aspect of this that you have not yet grasped. Is there anything role play wise that you do that your tenacity or your intuition, your previous experiences when you kind of face a wall and you still have surmounted it? Is anything there that kind of brings back and role play wise you can do at this time?
Unable to isolate the following sequence. It appears to be a cojoined, a cojoined sequence. And he's like, "Oh, don't tell me what you can and can't do, blasted computer." He'll go through. He has I know my ship. Try to find. Oh, it's a technical problem. I don't. Try to find it. Explain further. Cojoined sequence.
And the ship kind of starts explaining that the data sequence that you've inputted, the data is so similar that it's unable to differentiate the two necessary wave patterns that need to be focused on in order to kind of pick up the plasma trail.
Okay, and if I challenge a value, what happens? It's been a while.
If you challenge a value, you can use a determination and immediately gain the determination. So if you challenge a value, say always prepared, always vigilant, this particular time you weren't prepared and you weren't vigilant, and you're going to change it to something else. you get immediately 2 successes, and then you can replace that value with something else. In Star Trek, it's considered as an individual basically growing through experience.
Okay, so but when you normally challenge it, it's usually the opposite. The situation is the opposite of what the value is.
Exactly, yeah. So if you're going to challenge your uncanny or challenge your have always been good at fixing things.
I wish to challenge my own uncanny intuition and tenacity, because I feel that I'm being flabbergasted that I can't come up with a solution.
Mm-hmm.
So given all the data at hand and all the information that we've been headbanging, I'll just, like, blast computer, don't tell me what to, tell me what I can and cannot do. And then he'll look and he'll just make sure that the input's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll go, and he says, computer, hypothesize. If cojoined sequence is causing difficulty, what would be your best summation of how to proceed matters further? And he'll basically try to get the computer to do the work for him outright, challenging his value.
Okay. So you use a determination, you get a success, you get 2 successes necessary, and you get the determination. And the computer computing, and you hear the standard Where's my computer sounds like, And then she says, and one option is to remove cojoined sequences from analysis and repeat analysis to see if cojoined sequences are indeed unnecessary for the analysis. And assuming that you agree, she proceeds to remove the cojoined sequences and responds, analysis complete. Would you like to read report?
Oh, yes, that's what we've been waiting for all along.
Warp plasma trail extends from current location out to 1 million kilometers. Plasma trail seems to have stopped 1 million kilometers from here. Plasma trail leads to a larger plasma, plasma bloom. Source of plasma bloom unknown. Reason for plasma bloom unknown. Current path is accurate towards plasma bloom. Do you have any further questions for the computer? Hello?
I still hear you. I don't know if Ian's thinking or not.
Okay. Or maybe his net is going in and out. It has been a challenge, folks. Internet issues all round. Ian, you there? If you're speaking, we can't hear you.
I'll put a pause on it for a moment.
Yeah. Oh, not a question mark. Full stop. We can't hear you, Ian.
We can't hear you, Ian?
Oh, who's Ian? We can't hear you, boss. I hope you guys have been enjoying. I know it's been challenging.
Oh yeah, it's good. You can't. The failings of technology. Sometimes computers are amazing. Sometimes you just gotta take that 12 megabytes of cock and just deal with it.
Oh yeah, he dropped.
Yeah. The way it seems like he'll be back.
You boys
but,
want some megabits?
Yeah, like the way kind of like it always seems like they've done this in Trek, right? They come up with some sort of ingenious solution that barely is possible, and they pull it off, right?
Yep, that's exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah, no shit. Except we're kind of fucking up on the.
We're having to use all our determination. It ain't no Geordie LaForge. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, just had a huge clap of thunder, and then I got kicked.
Ooh, shit. Okay, so then let's move this fast so that you don't lose Ian again. Okay, so Ian, the computer. What did you hear last before you lost?
Yeah, I heard his findings, and I was actually in the middle of responding back.
Okay.
Basically, we go, understood, computer, process and relay information to the main flight deck. So then I just calm to the captain and go, Captain Nobunaga, this is Lieutenant Hogg.
Report.
Says, I do believe that the three of us has managed to isolate the Klingons' flight trajectory. I've currently had the computer relay the information to your main flight operator. It says it's most distressing though. It seems the trail ends and then the plasma detected is into some kind of a bloom pattern. I have a fear that the ship may have exploded.
Very well. Suppose we'll find out.
Okay, so the information is relayed on to, and the computer basically extrapolates and projects the data over space in front of you, and to kind of make things easy.
Primary concern, did they make it into Romulan space, but where the bloom is?
Nobody's checked for that yet, but I'm just kind of giving you guys like it's hard to see what 1,000,000 kilometers. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm just showing this to you so that you guys have a mental picture, and then that'll hopefully help your RP out.
Yeah.
So the computer basically simulates the space around you, and you see that you're on the edge of space here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks away. Though you see the Klingon ship, assume that you're seeing a bloom of plasma. That's what the computer is showing. It's about 4 blocks away, 1,000,000 miles in front of you. Is the Klingon ship, but it's unclear at this moment what the state of the Klingon ship is, what is the cause of the bloom, and what it means for you guys.
Yeah, so Nobunaga is like thinking, and Engineer Hogg, since you're scanning for the plume, and he said that the plume actually it basically stopped, and then it was a plume suddenly.
Yeah, so think of it like as if like you're kind of following, like say somebody's put gasoline on a long.
Yeah.
And you kind of sense far away that the flames have erupted, right? But in this case, it's plasma, and unlike flames or an explosion, plasma is just like it can be a gas cloud of plasma just radiating out.
Yeah, so they probably stopped or exploded.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nobunaga says, "We'll stick to the plan. Assume that they're there. When we come out of warp, we'll see if we need to fire, but assume we will. We're going to go into long range. When we come out of warp, Ensign Chon, fire to the middle of the plume. Immediately."
Understood, Captain. I'm just wait with my finger on the buttons.
Okay. So just to be sure, so that because it's the first time we're doing it, so that are the shields up?
Well, once we come out of warp, I will raise them immediately.
Okay. And you're going to be in long range, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Just
so
in photon torpedo range, longest range I can be.
Yes. Okay. So photon torpedo range, longest range you would be 1, 2,
3 away, right?
3. You'd be 1 block over from.
So a question: Do we have how many photon torpedoes do we have on board? Unlimited?
I would say pretty much unlimited. The way I track, you eventually get destroyed, or you've destroyed whoever's on the other side of it. Yeah. So I would say, and the way the battle things are set up, there's enough before you're either hurting or they're. It comes down to what you like to do. Phasers, though. Phasers will come based on the ship's power. So every
Power,
time you
yep.
use phaser, powers will reduce.
Well, I'm gonna
So-
try not to be in phaser range ever, so...
Okay. Okay, so we are dropping out of warp in long range, and then as soon as you drop warp, you guys are gonna do what you guys are doing, correct?
Yep.
Okay, let me set it up. So as you guys start approaching, you guys drop out of warp. What do you do?
Shields up.
Torpedoes out.
Torpedoes out. Okay. So for torpedoes, it's a task difficulty of 3. You have 2 momentum in the pool.
I would like
So
to direct him.
Oh, nice. Go for it.
Okay, so direct is... Let me put that back up.
Command plus... what would you like to use for this?
Presence, if I can.
Go for it. Presence plus command.
Where's my guy? Okay.
Yeah. And you can use inspiration, I would say, because it tries to inspire your people into this battle.
Okay. Task difficulty is...
I would say in your case, just keep it as 1 because Rinan's would... Oof. Okay, nice. So... Why is it not coming up as...
No, it's weird they didn't give 2 for that.
Yeah, it should be 2. So you have a total of 3 momentum in the pool now. How does that look, Nobunaga, from RP
Yeah,
perspective?
he comes out. Shields up! Fire, Chon! And he kind of like, fire! Just kind of like getting him kind of rowdy, you know?
Nice.
Chon will do that and probably
So-
spend a momentum as well.
Okay, so the first thing you need to do, Chan, is go control plus security task, and the ship will assist you down the road.
Okay.
So this would be a standard 2d20.
Use a momentum for it.
Okay.
Task difficulty.
Task difficulty would be 3.
You can use multiple, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Go for it. And now you need to roll off the ship. So click on the ship and just hit attack torpedo.
Can we use...
Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, the ship attack doesn't matter. But he needs to roll the ship aiding him, right? The assist?
That is the ship attack. I made a mistake.
see.
So the ship attack does the roll as well as the damage.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so you guys fire the torpedo. I would say in this case, you have enough successes actually. So you have 3 from Nobunaga plus 2 roll location. Engines, roll damage. Nice. Okay, so that's 2 plus 2 plus 1, 5 plus high yield. So that's 5. Shields are not up on this ship, and you get a breach. And since you have high yield, the engine now has 2 breaches on it. You guys see that the Klingon warbird is now like its engines are kind of like flaming a little bit, and the plasma around it starts lighting up with the torpedo that you shot, and the plasma is now kind of on fire.
And it's decloaked when we hit it, I'm guessing?
Yes, it was completely decloaked when you hit it.
It was already
Um,
decloaked?
It was already decloaked when you hit
Okay,
it.
gotcha.
And I would say, Captain Nobunaga, make a insight plus command, and your alien cultures focus applies.
Okay. Task difficulty 1.
That's difficulty 1. you know that something is not quite right. There is one ship, and the rest of you guys will also be able.
Say that again,
You can
Xavier, you
hear-
cut out.
Oh, sorry. So Captain Nobunaga knows something is not right. Something is definitely not. There's only one Klingon ship, and there were 3 that attacked. And this one is completely disabled, and plasma was around it, and the plasma is on fire. Everybody else watching it on their screens and respective monitors would also see that what they're seeing makes sense. And you guys hear weapon specialist Zavek on the comms. Yes, Captain. It definitely seems that the quantum torpedo has been breached. It has lost containment, and that's the plasma you're seeing all around it. That is definitely the ship that took the quantum torpedo.
Might get to transport it to another one though. Is it? But it would have been. No, it has to be there because if they move it, the
plasma trail if they move
yeah.
it.
So, and again, I just want to remind you all that combat. It is a collective effort. There is no. You're free to discuss among yourselves and strategize. It's not unlike other games. It's not considered meta game.
Yeah, I'm immediately thinking it's bait. They took the
Yeah.
one ship. People got sick. They did whatever they needed to with the weapon, but they're using it to draw out or to delay us.
The thing is, Nobunaga only cares about that weapon right now. So if we think the weapon is actually on that ship, I'm going to keep shooting the ship until it explodes.
Okay. So you guys are in combat.
Now, does everybody agree that that weapon's still on that ship?
I kept.
I would like to add that you're in combat and you have combat task. One such combat task is sensor sweep. So right now Nobunaga is gone, Rinnan has gone. You still have Boss, Lyra, and Ensign Law.
I guess Lyra should do it then. So she will do a sensor sweep to verify that the source of the plume is that ship, and then there's no other signs of any other plasma anywhere.
Okay, perfect. So go ahead, roll this.
You cut out what?
This is a task difficulty 0, so you can generate momentum
Okay.
from this. So Lyra needs to roll a reason plus science.
Applicable focus.
I would say astrophysics applies.
Okay. Difficulty 0. You know, I can't actually do that. But...
Just put it as 1.
yeah,
but
that's
I'll
fine. So 1.
Nice. And now roll the ship's sensors plus science.
Okay.
So if you click on the ship.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Nice. Oh, I know what I did there. Sorry. See what happens when you try and do many things.
Oh, it's
Somebody turn that goddamn computer off.
I put on loop. That's right. Okay. So you generate 2 momentum. So you guys' momentum is up at 6 now.
so. What did she find?
Yeah, I'll send you this message.
Okay.
What is the benefit of having an advantage?
The advantage will reduce the task difficulty that you're trying to give an advantage. It'll reduce the difficulty by 1. At least that's the way I'm ruling it.
Okay, I'll resolve that task, but I have an idea if you want to do something.
Okay.
Make sure you send it to Nobunaga, Cypher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Captain.
1 minute, let me finish.
Oh,
One minute,
yeah,
let me just
okay.
finish all of this.
Oh, cool.
I'm done. That's all the information.
Okay. Captain, it appears that the only signs of the plasma bloom or the only signs of the plasma is emanating from this ship. Also, life forms seem to be in distress on this ship. They're dying. And Nobunaga just kind of waits for whatever Hog is going to do.
Hog doesn't trust this because he knows all too well how, they're called birds of prey for one thing, and most predators like to prey on stuff. I'd like to, if I can, try to use, I guess it would be control and engineering. I want to try to create an advantage. I understand advantages they're not very long lasting, but if we get attacked this round, the advantage I'd like to do would be to reduce the difficulty of regenerating shields. As far as roleplay wise, he'd basically try to use a subroutine to do like a delay buffer of like a minor surge of power, and like put it on a buffer timer. That way, if he needs to, he can like reallocate it to the shields to regenerate them.
This would be a task difficulty of 2. You can use your engineering plus control. And you'd have the focus of all of them apply: electroplasma power systems, fusion reactors, warp engine. So focus applies. Nice. Okay, so you have that. And Ensign Law, what are you going to do at this point? So you would have heard all this discussion about the ship being the source of the bloom, people dying on the ship, and Boss Hog's, like nagging feeling that it is also a trap. So under the con actions, you have a bunch of stuff available to you that you can pick.
The con actions for the ship?
No, combat tasks, con.
Mm-hmm. That's the things you can do, right?
Yeah, I just showed it to everyone.
Okay.
That's the things you can do: evasive action, attack pattern, maneuver, impulse, warp. Also, you can ready an action in the event something happens. You can what you're going to tell me that you're going to do now.
All right. Well, I mean, seeing that we're attacking, I'm expecting a attack back of some sort, and especially here in Nega, feeling that it's a trap, that maybe we might be ambushed.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort, so I'll be pairing action and take evasive action.
Okay, perfect. So, in the eventuality that you're going to be attacked, you will prepare an evasive. Perfect, nice. And that is everybody's turn. Lyra has gone. Law.
Elliot
Captain
Smith.
Jim. Elliot Smith. Okay. What would Elliot Smith like to do? He has.
He should shoot another photon torpedo at that thing.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, Nobunaga's not stopping the attack because
Okay.
there are people on there.
So Nobunaga has Elliot Smith. So this is going to be again. Let me just make sure. Okay. So first roll, control plus security.
Go ahead if you're going to, Ghost.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're upon hearing that there are souls on board the other ship in distress, hearing the discussion for a moment to hear what the captain's next move is, and upon hearing the command for another torpedo to be fired, said, "Captain, should we not take them prisoner at least? We could figure out what their intent was."
So Nobunaga looks at you and says, "We would have to to transport somebody. We would have to be close. I'm guessing.
Close. I mean,
no, in the same square. Can we do it from here?
No, you can. Yeah, you can, because you have transport people off onto planets and off planets.
Oh, that makes sense.
You can definitely try and transport people off and into the brig directly.
Yeah, the first rule is if their shields are up and active, no, we can't.
Yeah.
And then after that, it gets tricky depending on if we're trying to get them from telepad to telepad, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Yeah.
But to let you know, the only person who can do that has already gone, which should be Boss Hog. Also, it is a little difficult because there is a plasma bloom all around it. Yep. So just consider those facts as well.
Nobunaga looks at you and then looks at Elliot Smith, and he's like, "Belay that order. Prepare to fire. If at anything that might decloak."
And Elliot Smith nods. Okay, so Elliot Smith is a ready action for anything that decloaks. He's going to fire at it.
Yep.
And
if it's a Klingon, if it's a Romulan, he probably would not. Yeah.
Okay, and if they're being attacked,
if something attacks us, shoot back.
Yeah, exactly. And Cartelaw is
readying evasive action.
Readying evasive action. Yes. Okay. I want you guys to zoom out a bit till you can see squares around you.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So you guys at that point. Hear multiple ships decloaking. As two Klingon warbirds, and from behind them there seems to be a Diedrich's class Romulan warbird that decloaks out in the field. Right there. And with that, we shall end tonight's session.
Alrighty.